We were deep into our usual Saturday brunch, me and my girlfriends sipping mimosas. Beneath soft patio lights, our laughter ringing out into the morning air like wind chimes. The kind of laughter that loosened more than just our tongues. It softened memory, unraveled restraint. Somewhere between the third toast and the second round of Eggs Benedict, the talk, as it often did, turned toward relationships. One of the girls leaned in with a smirk and teased, "You're Daniel's always so serious. Does he ever laugh?" I didn't think. I didn't weigh the weight of the moment or the recklessness behind the impulse. I just smiled, lifted my glass, and with a mischievous glint, said, "Well, at least that other guy I dated could make me laugh, and he definitely knew what he was doing in bed." The table erupted. Laughter tumbled out in waves, clinking against champagne flutes and loud brunch chatter. I laughed too, caught up in the current of it, unaware, utterly blind to the man who had just walked through the door behind me. Daniel. He had come to surprise me. He rarely did things like that. Not because he didn't care, but because he was quiet, reserved, never one for grand entrances. But there he was, standing just behind me with a small bouquet of sunflowers in one hand and a hesitant, tender smile meant only for me, a smile that disappeared the instant he heard my words. I didn't notice at first. It was the silence at our table, the sudden drop in laughter, and the way my friends all froze that made me turn. He stood still, as if the floor had turned to ice beneath him. His eyes didn't search mine, they locked in, unmoving, full of hurt and disbelief. Then, slowly, he set the bouquet down on the empty chair beside me, without a word, and walked away. Panic seized me. My body went cold. The laughter still echoing in my ears now felt cruel and hollow. I jumped up, calling his name, weaving through tables and bodies, trying to reach him before he disappeared. But he didn't stop. He didn't even glance back. I stood there on the sidewalk, stunned and breathless, watching the man I loved disappear down the street with nothing but my words chasing after him, like ashes in the wind. That night, he didn't come home. His phone rang once, then straight to voicemail. I sat in our bedroom in the dark, unable to sleep, unable to breathe, replaying the moment again and again, trying to excuse it, explain it, reduce it to nothing more than a stupid joke. But it wasn't. I knew better. I had humiliated the man who had never once made me feel small. I had mocked the intimacy we'd shared, trivialized the sacred things we'd built over 7 years into a cheap punchline. Morning came like punishment. On the kitchen counter, next to a half-empty coffee mug and a crumpled napkin, was a note in Daniel's handwriting. It read, "I thought I meant more to you. Maybe I was wrong. Don't call me." That was all. No anger, no dramatic declarations, just the quiet truth. Like a blade slipped between my ribs, my fingers trembled as I read it. The edges of the paper go in wet and soften my hands. My knees buckled and I sank to the cold kitchen floor, sobbing until my throat was raw. Days blurred. I reached out in every way I could, texts, emails, voicemails filled with apologies I hadn't known I was capable of. I went to his office, only to be told by his assistant he was on extended leave. Our friends treaded carefully, their sympathy evident even in their silences. None of them said it outright, but I could feel it, the weight of their unspoken judgment, and I didn't blame them. I had broken the one man who had only ever tried to protect me, to cherish me. I kept seeing him everywhere, in the worn grooves of our apartment door, in the mug he used for tea, in the soft indentation on the other side of the bed, and in my mind, constantly, like a fever dream. The night he proposed, how his hands had trembled, how his voice cracked as he spoke the words. Our first apartment, small, dim, held together with thrift store furniture and love. The way he used to cradle my face, press a kiss to my forehead when I was overwhelmed, and how, even when we weren't talking, his presence filled the room with quiet safety. Weeks passed, then 3. I hadn't heard a single word from him. Desperate and unraveling, I started therapy. I needed to understand why I'd done it, why I'd sabotaged something so good, so real. My therapist said I had used humor to mask fear, deep-seated, unnamed fear. Self-sabotage. She called it a warped defense mechanism, and while that may have been true, it didn't undo the pain I had caused. One evening, while pushing a cart through the grocery store, I saw Daniel's brother. I couldn't help myself. I begged him, pleaded that if he saw Daniel, to tell him I was sorry, that I was trying to change. He nodded gently, but didn't promise anything. I didn't expect him to. That night, a message lit up my phone. Just 3 words. I heard you. I broke. I cried for hours, not from joy or relief, but because those 3 words meant he hadn't completely shut me out. He was still listening, even if only from a distance. Time stretched forward. He didn't come back, but the memory of his anger, those hurt eyes full of betrayal, began to soften in my mind, edged out by the deeper ache of regret. I learned how to be alone. I learned how to sit with my own brokenness and stop hiding behind sarcasm and easy charm. I stopped using humor as armor and started asking myself real questions. And still, he lingers in everything. When I walk past the cafe, I glance at the chairs. When I hear that one song he used to hum while cooking. When I see sunflowers in a market stall, bright and golden, and so heartbreakingly simple. I remember what I lost, with one careless sentence, one stupid, flippant joke I destroyed. Something sacred. If I could go back, I'd hold my words like glass. I'd speak like I was holding the soul of someone I loved in my hands, because I was. But life doesn't offer second chances wrapped in ribbons, only lessons etched deep into the bone. And this one, I will carry with me, always.